Hey everyone, welcome to our special rerun of Geeked Out.
A
And I
lot of
think
text.
It's just the issue. I was just gonna say,
Agreed, that is true.
problem is there are dads that I know they love their kids. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
I would say that pretty much most of the Marvel dads love their children very much. I mean, Howard Stark gave everything to Tony. He really did. He left him the keys to the fucking chocolate factory. He by the way, unpopular opinion, I enjoy Iron Man 2 very much.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay, whatever. All right, okay, whatever. I think what
the whole
Wait,
fact,
Aaron, what'd you say?
yes.
the whole fact that Howard gave Tony everything and Tony was still unhappy. He didn't have a relationship or the family support that he needed. He was given everything, money. He was given everything that was necessary. But you watch all the whole Iron Man and throughout the MCU, nothing is good enough for Tony. His relationships, that he doesn't know how to communicate. He always because of the actual real things that he was lacking. And that shows what kind of goes on in these type of familial situations where families, yes, they can give their children everything except the things that they need, which is love, communication, and support. Yeah, you can give them. He gave them the whole keys of the kingdom, but we watch Iron Man's character grow because he started developing these relationships. Yes, they're superheroes, but he developed all the relationships that he never had as a child. When you watch
right,
and it's. But I was saying, like, more than anything, what Howard gave like Tony was the technology and the knowledge to truly become Iron Man. But unfortunately, didn't give him the knowledge and the ability to become a good father. Luckily, Tony figured that out for himself. And, he figured out there's this one meme that's been circulating where Tony couldn't put a suit of armor around the entire world, which is what Age of Ultron was about.
Right.
He put a suit of armor around his world. So you see Pepper Potts with the suit, and you see his daughter with the suit, and then you see Rhodey with the suit, and then Peter with the suit.
Also taking it a step further, because he even said this, he was like, Pepper, I'm leaving it all to you. You're better than me. And everybody, he even told Cap, you're better than me. He knows that's why he fights so hard, because he doesn't feel that highly about himself, because he never was able, in his mind, he was never able to reach good enough for his father. That's all he wanted, but he couldn't get the attention. Little did he know it was because his dad was trying to set him up with something else. But still, that doesn't make up for lost time. And he knew that being in his daughter's life wouldn't save her life. That's why he gave his life, because he knew the people around her, hey, I love you 3,000. You want cheeseburgers? Everybody, every single person around his daughter is going to make sure. That's why I hope soon we're going to get her meeting up with Siri, because Suri, because that ends up happening. That she ends up becoming, wearing the Iron Man suit, because she ends up being one of the smartest people in the whole Marvel universe. So I hope that they end up taking that story that way. But
I'm sure they'll move that. That'll be phase 8 or something like that.
I thought that the other one was going to be what was it? Captain Marvel's black friend, the girl, her daughter. She's supposed to be Captain Marvel.
That would be cool.
You know what I'm talking about? She's because she's.
Oh yes. She's smart as well. I don't know if she's becoming, if she ends up wearing the Iron Man suit, but I think she has abilities, because it's her and Luke Cage. They are. No, not Luke Cage. I take that back. I'm sorry. I'm talking about something totally different. Never mind.
Yeah, but I was like, I know that she's supposed to end up being. Hero. But one thing also what you're talking about, we're talking about Marvel Dads Ain't Shit, is so majority of the the people throughout the MCU and on the Avengers all have these toxic relationships with their father. Mm-hmm. T'Challa was the only one who got to know his father throughout his childhood, and you watch him, he's also a king. He's dignified. He knows how, it shows kind of the parallels of how he, how he didn't want to kill M'Baku, how we think about that. He has that humanized side, because he's not really fighting for that, the same things that they're fighting for. But
that almost killed him though too.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, it does. But he's not fighting for. I would say the same things that they had to fight for. His kind of demons come from something else. But it's interesting to watch him because everybody, once again, how we're talking about how we think that T'Chaka is perfect, you know, and then we see him kill his own brother.
Right.
And that's kind of, that's kind of disheartening. That's something that allows him to, I mean, obviously it shook his world. He lost against his own cousin, you know, even though he's king, it shook his whole world to someone that he had worshipped and kind of seen his whole life as a perfect king. He watched him murder his own brother and leave his cousin there. That's kind of a big deal there too. How it affected him within that short moment, I would say.
I love really quick. I just because Aira brought it up. I love the fact that like, cause I've never really seen it. I love the fact that we got to technically watch someone like watch their demons wrestle them down, because like Aira said, he for all intents purposes had a good life. It didn't really have those demons. He had his father, he had his mother, he had all these great things. He didn't even know Killmonger existed. And then all of a sudden Killmonger's here, and that's like, yo, your dad created something so long ago that you got to deal with now. And you didn't know, you didn't have to wrestle with it. It is slapping you in the face, and now you need to wrestle with the fact that your hero was kind of a bad person. Not that bad, but kind of bad.
You see the worlds that you see both the worlds his father created. You see Wakanda, this beautiful whole kingdom. I mean, where everything works well within itself, and then you see Killmonger, another another issue that his father created. And when they obviously intersect, it's like oil and water. It's just the ugly side of things.
Right.
Well, the thing about all of the Marvel movies is that at the end of the day, they all end up being about accountability. It's something that they always try and avoid. Captain America, he talked and preached a pretty good game about accountability, but he really spent the entire movie trying to avoid it and trying to get his friend to avoid it as well. And then, the same thing with T'Challa's father. He tried to just walk away with it, omit it. And it's not something that you can really get away with. Even if you don't live to see the consequences of it, someone that you care about very much will.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
All of them. It's all about accountability. That's funny. That's every single one of them.
And it always ends up being the dad's fault. That's why like no one gives a shit about Father's Day. No one at all gives a shit about Father's Day.
Right. Because of Marvel movies.
And Marvin Gaye's dad also. But
hey, unpopular opinion, Marvin was tripping. And I think that's why Marvin gave his dad that gun, because Marvin knew Marvin was tripping, and he was like, you're gonna have to save me from myself. And that's what happened. He was tripping, and he was about to go after his mother. That's a whole nother conversation, but you almost opened the can there, brother. But yes, Marvin was tripping, and he took him.
Okay. All right. Well, now we're yes, the next episode will be about Marvin Gaye, not about his music or anything, but just about him getting shot by his father. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to take a look at a quick commercial. Take a look at this.
Were you in a bad superhero movie? Don't worry, I got you covered. I'm Carter Anderson, actor attorney, and I fight for you. And if you were in a crappy superhero movie, you're entitled to a better superhero movie. That's how superhero movies work. But don't take my word for it, see for yourself. Chris Evans was in Fantastic Four back in 2005. Boom, now he's Captain America. Michael B. Jordan was in Fantastic Four back in 2015. Boom, now he's Killmonger. Also, if you see a shooting of a Fantastic Four movie, you are legally allowed to make a citizen's arrest. Ryan Reynolds was in Green Lantern back in 2011. Boom, now he's Deadpool. Need I say more? I fight for people that can totally fight for themselves. Call now.
So no phone number, no website, no email. Just but make sure to call now anyway. Okay, you'll find them. You'll find them. Also, guys, if you're enjoying what we're doing, if you're enjoying all of the hilarious nerdy commentary on Black Panther, and really enjoying what we're doing out here on Geek'd Out, send us your money. Okay, you think that this very small apartment is free? It isn't. It isn't. It costs like a couple $100 at least. Make sure to send money at Venmo at BL Comedy, or you can do it on a Cash App That's a big dollar sign, big laugh comedy. All donations will be divided between the talent and the production team. Please send us your money. Now we're going to move on to our third topic of the day, which is strong Black female cast. We've talked about this kind of a lot already, but kind of not specifics per se. But Jesus Christ, when you talk about, I mean, that's one thing that Marvel tends to lack a little bit in, well, definitely a strong Black female cast, but even a female cast in general in their Marvel movies. Not as much. But in this one, Angela Bassett, pretty much the whole cast, like it's amazing. Like they hold down the entire country, and it's just amazing to see. So I mean, I don't even need to say anything. Aira, you got anything for us? Any opinions about that?
Yes. First and foremost, what makes me excited about this cast was dark-skinned women. Dark-skinned women on screen. Every single time when people say, but we did have a Black woman on screen, we did have a Black, it's always a woman that is racially ambiguous, or someone who's passable, or just a light-skinned woman that makes it more palatable for other types. Every single woman who was strong and beautiful on this movie was dark skinned. And for me, that was exciting because I don't see women who look like me a lot on television. And if I do, they're either evil or they're sleeping with someone, they're a Jezebel figure, or something like that. You don't get to see women being powerful, strong, not submissive, or being used. I mean, we had Lupita Nyong'o, we had Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, who's been a queen for generation. I mean, she plays a amazing role every single decade of my life. I have 8 or 9 roles that I can just throw out that have changed my life that Angela Bassett has done in different levels. That there's different reasons why she's amazing in each of these films. So yes, they came and did this thing. Like when it came to the women,
they showed up for it. Like
they showed up.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Like, you know, we were talking a little bit about this before, like them having issues with lighting Black characters in movies. I did theater throughout college, and that would always be their thing for me. I got to do like a lot of roles. Like I got to do a lot of stuff, but they would always say like, man, we can't light you because you're too tall and Black. And like, you know, we don't even have your foundation. You're going to have to like go like online to find your foundation. And I know like I did that to myself moving to West Texas to go to school. Definitely were other options. But it's just truly beautiful to like, you know, see they went above and beyond for this movie. Like they pulled out all of the stops and they really wanted to tell Black women's story. They weren't necessarily the 100% focus of it. You know, obviously it was all kind of about T'Challa, but they were the support system.
But for me, if I can be honest, for me, like, even though it wasn't about them, it was about them. Like, if they weren't there, the story wouldn't have carried. Literally, the whole end is Lupita Nyong'o, Letitia Wright, literally, I mean, killing in the name of. They're out there. I mean, T'Challa's in here getting, you know, he's getting choked out, and here's the women out here sacrificing themselves for the good of their country. You watch, I can't remember the character she plays, but she plays opposite of the guy who's in Get Out. She's his woman.
Oh, yeah.
And out there, she was like, you may be fine and everything, but my country comes first. I'm like,
yeah, the lady from Walking Dead. Here's the thing.
Who almost made me want to shave my head again. I shaved my hair 4 years ago, and that was a feat. But rewatching that, I was like, I might want to shave my head again. She kind of brought the, like, that's another thing we talked about on your show, Trumaine, was when it comes to Black women again, people always want to police our hair. People always want to police like how we can look, what makes us beautiful. We have to have these, you know, European type wigs, or we have to look a certain way to be, as I said, to be, you know, attractive to other people. They had women with literally no hair on this movie, which is such a big deal to me, that looked so gorgeous, and they were still very feminine, and they had a way of making these women be so bold and so strong, but yet soft and feminine. Like everything about them to me was was feminine. Like I didn't feel like I was watching some aggressive character. That's something, as I said, we're policed, especially dark-skinned women, we're policed. I'm always being told that people are intimidated by me or I'm aggressive something because I'm a 5'9", dark-skinned, big woman. Like that's all I'm told. And sometimes I feel like I have to be extra hard to look feminine to other people. And just watching this really kind of was like, for me, a big like, F you to that. Like, I can really do exactly look however I want. I don't know, that for me, it was just like so many levels of it. It was like beauty standards, microaggressions that are said against women, things like that. And they played off every single one of those so well. That kind of just made you want to say F you to those norms, like F you to those microaggressions and things that you're told. So.
If you really think about it, because we haven't brought this up and I think it's very important.
Go for it.
The whole movie wouldn't have been pushed forward if it wasn't for women. And I mean, like every single act of the whole movie. You got to think, even the bad guys, like to what's it called? Killmonger got to what's it called? Get that stuff from what's it called? The museum. The museum, because of the woman set that up. You know what I mean? And if we're also talking about T'Challa, he died, remember? And he what's it called? And M'Baku was like, hey, a couple of the women, they saw him and they grabbed him out. And if it wasn't for the mom being like, look, I'm going to swallow my pride. Fuck everything that happened. We need him, otherwise Wakanda is done. So she went against everything. Yeah, that's what Wakanda calling. It was like, yo, we in this. But that's the thing. She went against everything to be like, hey, I'm gonna save my son because it's ultimately gonna save Wakanda. If we talk about Shuri, excuse me, she made all the stuff, everything. She made everything that was being used in all the battles. You know what I mean? And she saved what's his name? The Hobbit. She saved his life.
Yeah,
you know Hobbit.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah, Hobbit. Yeah, exactly. She saved his life. So all the women were saving lives all across the whole movie.
Yeah, they were just sort of the silent heroes, like pretty much. Like the things that kept progressing, like the story along. Like they were the ones that kept everything afloat, you know, like that. You know, you need those characters that like keep the story going, and that's what they were doing. Like, I mean, the general, Jesus, she was just a badass the entire time. And she was a badass in Infinity War as well. She did amazing, and in Endgame as well. Like, you know, I love, like, you know, she still got to be a part of the Avengers, like even after, like, you know, everyone like turned to dust and shit. Like, you know, you saw them, like, you know, still keeping Wakanda under control even after they like temporarily lost, like, you know, half their people for like 5 years.
Right. Yeah. And I love how, when you really think about it, in the very first scene, she saves his ass. Remember? Because she was like, when you see her, you're gonna freeze. He's like, I never freeze. And then he froze up. And then out of nowhere, the other guy was coming about to shoot him. And then she came and she killed him and was like, see, you do freeze. It's like,
she's intuitive. Like, she knows what he needs even before he needs it. Like, he's like, no, you don't have to come. I can do it myself. Okay. I'm going to go and check on you anyway.
And still came and saved his ass. That's what I'm saying. I love that movie, and I love that Aira brought it up, because the women not only are they the true forces, they're the reason why we got the W anyway. Any man who got a W in that film came because of a woman.
I mean, everything was built because of her. Like, everything, nothing would exist if it weren't for her. Like, even Black Panther's outfit, everything that's cool about him. Even Killmonger's little outfit after he gets it, that's Shuri. That's her drip. The shoes, everything about her. Like, Shuri.
She's amazing. She's like every single like scientist in the James Bond movies combined into one.
But I love how cool she made her. Like, she was so cool. She wasn't nerdy at all. She was just like this cool Black girl, like, which you don't really get to see, quirky. It's like a stereotype you really don't get to see in a Black female. She's like quirky, scientific, but also really sweet and funny. Like her dynamic with her and like T'Challa, like brother sister dynamic is so cute. Like it's just it just makes you miss, like for me, like I have an older brother and I have 2 younger brothers. Like watching that makes me just think of makes me miss my siblings. Like you just watch it and you're like, oh, like that.
Yeah.
You know, she sees like the good in her brother and she's excited for him being Black Panther, but she also doesn't mind beating his ass, like letting him play around with the suit and letting him get hurt. Like, you know what I mean? She loves
what are those?
Yeah.
Yes.
And for me, I love that. That's good for me.
No,
Yeah.
I thought it was dope also because like I said, everything that he got was because of her. You know what I mean? And it was like, and she was still like taking shots every so often. And she was unapologetically loud. She was gonna speak her mind. It's this big event. You know, is anybody gonna challenge today? She raises her hand. They looking at her like, what? She like, hey, I don't care. We need to hurry this up. I gotta take this off. This is tight, you know? Like, and that's what you get to hear. You get to hear her voice over all of these men and everything. It's like it's a beautiful thing. I never got to see movies like this that gave me this kind of feeling, even as a Black man. So to understand that there are going to be children who are like 10, you know, and from this point forward, they're going to be able to watch this movie and see at least themselves at least once on screen out of the hundreds of Black people on screen. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Also, the cool thing I think about Shuri is like I think that they did a really good job on every single thing. First of all, humanizing all of these characters, because once again, when it comes to like Black women, they're always put off as aggressors. But you see her how she is a healer. Like she goes about and she's you know, she's healing the way she heals I can't think of the agent that was like trying to she was trying, like the one that was
the Hobbit.
Agent Ross.
She brings him back, and she regardless of these people that are trying to infiltrate within her kingdom, she is willing to. She doesn't want people to die either. She does everything within her lesson. You even see when she brings back Bucky.
Yep.
She's back there. She sees how she's bettering her kingdom on her own. Like she doesn't answer questions to anybody. She does stuff on her own. And she killed Bucky. I can't think of what the guy's name was, but that's an important role for her too. Is kind of just not taking anything from anyone. Yeah, her brother's the king, but she kind of does what she wants.
Yep. And you remember she came through with the came through dumping. She was like, hey, I ain't just smart. I got these guns too.
Oh yeah.
She came through dumping. That's what I love about the women of Wakanda. They smart and they with the shit. And if you don't know what shit means, that means that you are willing to fight for those that you love. And you're not going to be disrespected. They were not here for the disrespect. And I love that. Like, they didn't have to be like, hey, look, I need to be seen. But anytime you saw them on screen, you paid attention to them. Like when they opened up the gateway to Wakanda and they were and they all like put their staff down at the same time. Like, I'm so happy the person who came up with those costumes got that Oscar, because to be able to do that, and Aira kind of touched on it. The point is, people think of Africa, they think of Africa like it's a country. No, that's a fucking continent. There's like 100 something odd countries in there. And there's like more languages. So that means you have all these different cultures. That means somebody had to go there and like listening to her and the director talk about this on the commentary is beautiful. They literally had to go through hundreds of different what's it called?
Dialects.
Yeah, not dialects. I'm talking about the things that they wear. The clothing. Yeah, all of that. They had to go through all of that to come up with what each and every person was gonna wear and what every kind of, because they're like tribes, but they're more sophisticated. So we're not going to call them a tribe, but you're going to know that they're the same group because they have the same stuff on. All that stuff, I've never really seen it like this on camera. She deserved that Oscar and she won. Damn it. I'm happy.
Good shit, guys. All right, so we're going to move on to the next topic. Who's going to be the next bad guy? Kind of a playoff to Billy English there. So, I'm very curious what you guys think. I don't know Black Panther's bad guys as well, It's rough that Killmonger's gone, and we can't exactly bring him back. That wouldn't really work. I've heard some theories about who would be the next bad guy for Black Panther 2. I also don't know if they've even touched the script or are considering writing one. I'm sure they're going to do something. I heard
they've greenlit it. They greenlit it. Yeah. In fact, and I have an article I'll send to you later because I'm a nerd like that.
Yeah.
But they already brought on what's his name? Childish Gambino. What's his real name? Donald Glover. They brought him on to help out with the script, and they're talking about bringing him back for a character. So he's already the Prowler. So you have that aspect they can go with Spider-Man, the whole connection with there. Because his name. Go ahead. What you say?
I've heard that I've heard they're talking about Dr. Doom.
No, there's a few different ways they've already set it up where it can either go to the Prowler because he is a part of that storyline, or during what was it, Endgame, they were talking about the ocean disturbance. That's Namor, and that's another person they can go that direction too. Or they can go, because they're trying to bring the X-Men in, they can go the direction of trying to get the Fantastic Four and be Dr. Doom. In fact, they can do all of them. And knowing the MCU, they always figure out a way to bring people back. So they're already talking about possibly bringing back Killmonger, because technically he got brought back in the comic too, because you never really did in Marvel.
Yeah. It's so much of that in too many things. Yeah, no one ever really dies in TV. Also, I was going to bring this up earlier. Whenever you throw someone off of a waterfall in a movie, they survive. That just happens every single time. It happened in The Fugitive. It happened in Black Panther. It even happened in the movie Homeward Bound. That cat survived the fucking waterfall. No one dies from a waterfall.
Black Panther. He didn't even die in the waterfall.
Yeah, no one dies in a waterfall. I don't know what it is. You just make it. It's no big deal. Waterfalls aren't that a big deal,
They were able to open it up on what was that? The last movie that they were able to open it up. Now everybody knows about Wakanda. Everybody knows about it. Now, I feel like it gives us so many different scenarios, because why can't I think of the last movie that just came out where they come back from dying and everything, the last one.
Endgame.
Endgame. I'm literally everybody knows what I'm talking about. But on Endgame, everybody knows where it is. So now it's completely opened up to plenty of scenarios. 100 different elements. Everybody knows about vibranium. Everybody knows about this culture. So that kind of is a big question. I feel like that there's going to be a lot of outside factors and a lot of outside figures that come in.
Yeah, I think a lot of different stuff's going to come in. They might incorporate, Anthony Mackie's Captain America in that. Maybe have them kind of do a thing, Black Panther and Captain America, I don't really know you that well. I don't know you that well. All right, let's jump over this bridge. Cool.
Another buddy cop film within the MCU.
Yeah,
they do that pretty often.
Yeah, maybe not do that, because man, Captain Marvel wasn't bad. It just wasn't what we thought it was gonna be, but it really did just end up being.
I love you to death, man, but you gotta speak for yourself on that one.
Yeah,
because I thought
watching
Captain Marvel was dope as fuck to me.
Yeah.
In fact, it was everything I thought it was gonna be, because you gotta think she was stuck in the 90s, because that's when everything happened. So I already knew that if it was gonna, and it kind of gave me the vibe of Ant-Man. So I was they're gonna go super. It's almost like one of my favorite movies down here, Last Action Hero. A lot of people didn't understand that it was meant to be a satire. It was like a spoof of the entire, but it was really meta. A lot of people just thought it was going to be a straight up action movie, so they didn't understand what. I love it, but that's what I loved about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was so 90s. The music, the cheesy one-liners, the storyline that doesn't always really make sense, the beautiful people giving these cheesy one-liners. The backstory doesn't really make sense. It's so 90s. But
a lot of people aren't willing to let it go, though, because they don't like the fact that, the Avengers and the MCU starts with a woman.
No, you're right. I agree.
And that's a lot of underlying. And sometimes that's why I hate Reddit and I hate going to stuff, because I see the way that men think behind boards and behind keyboards. And a lot of people aren't willing to let that go. That's where it starts. That's where it is. That was the creation. I mean, even I feel like there's a lot of thought behind that a lot of people aren't willing. First of all, it was a black and white woman, so culturally that's already a big deal there. But I just think that there's a lot that goes behind the fact that people didn't feel Captain Marvel was a success, and it has to do with just because Black Panther, these movies are made, doesn't mean that there's no racism and sexism behind any of the creators or behind any of the fans in any of these movies.
Sure.
So, and when I watched Captain Marvel and you watch some of the comments, people were you read some of the comments, people were so rude about the little girl's daughter, the black woman's daughter. I cannot think of who she was in the movie. Just like you read some of the comments, you read some of the things that they say, and I just can't believe that that's the way that people think for no reason. It's just a movie. It's a superhero movie. It's just not even real, and it doesn't even exist. And people have so much hatred to the fact that they had a say in the MCU, the perfect world that they have created for themselves.
That's why I stay away from Reddit. Reddit is insane to me. The idea of like, hey, do you guys like all of the comments that people leave on Facebook? No, I don't like them. That's like the worst part of Facebook. I really only like the memes and the videos. Well, what if we took away the memes and the videos and had something just with the comments? Oh, well, I wouldn't want that. Well, we already made it. It's called Reddit. So here's the link to it. Don't send me the link. I don't want that at all. It's already on your computer, man. It's too late.
Reddit is a very scary universe to let yourself into. I can say, but also it does open a lot of topics and conversations that people write off or unwilling to speak about. There's just a lot of news and there's a lot of things that I found. Like, I know it's hateful. Like when going back to Captain Marvel, like it was hateful because here I am excited about a movie that is pro-woman, like pro all this stuff. And then I read all these comments and then in a way it gets to show me the real world.
No, you're right.
It does. No, and stuff like that, these movies are progressive. Black Panther is so progressive. But even going back to how we were saying, like, there were people that are mad that Wakanda is one of the strongest planets, that everybody wants what's within this country. You know what I mean? Like there are people that are mad about it. We're sitting here, this movie is great for us, but the real world inside of it is when you read this, that's not how everybody thinks.
Yeah.
And it's good to protect yourself. I mean, not on my end, it's good to I guess, I love to live in this. I love to live in the world where we think that, how you were saying, like Black Panther is one of the greatest movies of our generation. I love to live in that world. And that did change a course of conversation for a lot of people. But it's also good to know that not a lot of people think that way.
Hey, Stress, how's it going? I'm doing all right. What are you trying to do? I was actually hoping that I could get some work done without feeling so stressed out. I mean, that's kind of my whole MO. I mean, that's what I do, though. Yeah, totally. I mean, I get that. That's a good point. I'm sorry I asked. Hey, depression, real quick. Do you think I could maybe get out of bed before 11 tomorrow? It's wild that you think that you're going to get out of bed tomorrow morning at all. Hey, has anyone seen Hangover? I think he's in the bathroom. Everybody could just not make any loud noises for the next 7 hours. That would be so tight. Yo, full disclosure, you might have texted your ex-girlfriend some weird stuff, so you're probably gonna have to deal with that later. Okay. If you're feeling stressed or wound up, or you just want to feel better overall, then try Elevate. Alright guys, I'm using Elevate now, and I feel a lot better, so you guys gotta go. Go, get out of here. Leave!
But can we talk about this?
I don't want to hear it, dude. Just go. Man, whatever. I'm just going to go next door, man. Forget you guys. Hey, Karen, what's up? Visit ammahealing.co/elevate and use code PLC at checkout to get 15% off all products.
Oh, no, absolutely. And that's why I say it. And that's why even like everything I do, and this is some next level shit, but everything I do, and that's why I love you, I love you, Aira, but like everything I do is for a reason. Everything, even all the posters I have up here, because people will let you into a certain world and you get to really see how they think. And so, like, even with all this, I really believe in my heart of hearts that Black Panther is the greatest movie of our generation. Not only is it, but they will recognize it too. Everybody will recognize it. But going to what you were saying earlier about Captain Marvel, and this kind of hurts because I see this happening. You have already people before the movie even came out, people were upset that the strongest person in the MCU was going to be a woman. They were saying this way before the movie even came out.
Oh yeah.
So you already have that little drop that's always in people's ear. The only difference between this and Black Panther, where you had enough Black people, they were smart with every single thing they did. Even giving it to Ryan Coolidge, I believe his name is Coolidge. Coogler. Giving it to him after coming off of Fruitville Station. That is a statement.
Yeah.
The most pro-Black movie that came out at that time for a long time, that was made by a Black American with nothing. That movie was a statement. So for having him direct the movie off top, you have people who don't give a shit about anything comic who are like, yo, I want to see what this is about. And then they saw Creed and was like, I really want to see what this is about. You know what I mean? They didn't have that doing Captain Marvel. Well, go ahead.
What I was like, how I was telling you earlier is they were able to take these movies. Like usually if you see a movie on a trailer and you see 12 Black people in it, it's a Black movie. Only Black people are gonna go see it. It's a Cedric the Entertainer film. It's a Medea film, and it's been written off. And it is, and it has. It is.
Though he in it somewhere. I agree.
And like it's like those don't potentially sell, but as I'm telling you, it had to deal with the people that he casted in the movie, and the fact that Marvel gave a Black director a movie. That's a big deal. That Marvel Disney gave Black director that, because they could have potentially turned this into a Black film where it would have not made a lot of money. It would have not had any competition. If they would, they put this movie at risk, because Black films are not Disney films.
No, you're right.
Just be honest. But they, and that's why I tell it goes back to the people that they put in the film. Why women want to see Michael B. Jordan with his shirt off?
Agreed.
They do.
That's real.
You're right. And Chris brings up a good point. Stan Lee did say before he died, and sure enough, he passed away right after that movie was made. But he said before he died, there will be a Black Panther movie. He knew when he created the X-Men.
Black person.
No. But he said that too, and that's why it was made. He said. That's why they didn't make it. They had a chance to make that in the 80s, but they never made it because they were like, no, it needs to be a moment. And they held it for this very moment. Because I don't know if you've seen Creed, but if you watch it, that is a Rocky film. Black or not, you were cheering for him at the end of that movie. So Ryan, what is it? Coogler? Coogler.
It's no word that sounds like that, so I can't really.
Right, that's why it's hard to remember. But he's so getting him to do it was just so genius because, like Aira said, you need to create a Black movie that isn't necessarily a Black movie because it can very easily go there. But after watching Creed, it was like, oh, he about to make one of the best movies I've ever seen, and I had no idea it was going to be like.
It's the same. I mean, really, what do you think? And I think that's why he was hired. I would say as a director, and that concept is because. As I'm saying, this could have been a Black film. But it could have been. They were able to take a movie and a bunch of different themes that not everybody wants to watch.
Right, agreed.
That it potentially, honestly, made for us. They took these scenes and they made it. I wouldn't say watered down, but they did something that could have that was able to be a conversation piece for everybody.
No, agreed.
That's something that honestly, that couldn't have happened. This could have been a Medea film. It really could have. It could have been something.
You're right. It could have.
And they could have actually made a joke of the whole, make a joke of the whole thing. It could have been like the least popular, superhero. I think about if it would have been the 80s. I'm thinking about who they could have even put as the Black Panther. Some people say, in the 90s, if they would. I remember I watched this thing of if they were recasting in the 90s, Wesley Snipes, Black Panther, or Denzel Washington. It makes things. It makes it comical for me because I can't think of those men in those roles.
Especially at that time.
It wouldn't have worked at all.
They picked a perfect time. They picked a perfect people. They picked And I do think that was on purpose.
Yes.
Have to have
Yeah.
that.
But then that's why I said Captain Marvel, and it's almost goes back to the sexism. They almost set it up to fail.
Yeah.
Because it didn't have that same, like, if you would have said Captain Marvel was going to be made by like Ava DuVernay, because originally she was going to do Black Panther, but she ended up turning it down. I know she was. But anyways, like,
I'm kind of glad that she did that.
It would have been a totally different movie.
It would have been a different movie.
Agreed. You kind of, and the good thing about Ryan is he even said it in the behind the scenes. He was like, he went and got the smartest women he knew to make that movie, because he knew that like you couldn't you needed someone, and that's what he said. He had people around him to be like, no, that's that toxic masculine shit or whatever. You know what I mean?
Another thing I can say when we're going back to Captain Marvel is the main difference between how Wonder Woman was commercially successful and how Captain Marvel was commercially successful is because Wonder Woman was not made by women. It was not all women as much as Captain Marvel was.
Agreed.
Wonder Woman, I mean, showed up out every single woman on that movie. Yes, they made them powerful, but they were sexualized. Women don't fight in outfits. Your hair is not going to be down. Your titties are not going to be out. If I'm fighting, I need everything held down. I need my hair up. I'm not going to look sexy when I'm fighting. And they made Captain Marvel so it wasn't sexy. And I mean, it's the same thing with what is the movie that they did for how everybody was so excited about the character and Margot Robbie's character in Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah. Birds of a Prey, but it was still sexualized.
Right, but when they did a whole woman ran movie unsexualized, that movie was not commercially acceptable either. It was just like people were like, no, we want to see her titties. Like that this is not gonna fly here. And I even think about how, to me, like, once again, I love Captain Marvel, but I did too. It didn't come out as successful. And it kind of also reminds me of how the difference between it's still too progressive to do all women things. It's just not. People are not ready. It's still too progressive for a mainstream audience to have something that's just full on women. To be ran by women.
Thing is, you gotta set them up. Go ahead. What'd you say, Aira?
It's just too progressive. It's not time. I mean, think about how we are still not able to have a woman president, regardless of how people think that they're strong. We had a black president first before a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one's ready for that. That is still too progressive, too. How like men have these ideals, and it goes back to how I talked about what I said on Reddit. Like, it was a male ran dominated thing, and even though that movie had nothing to do with me, when I read those comments about something like that, it shuts me down completely. I feel completely like that we're not as progressive as we think we are. Black Panther does show some steps, because, as I said, it did make it more acceptable, and people are so excited about it, and people do see, even people who are not black see themselves within these roles, and they're excited and they want to talk. But Captain women things like that, that's not, men don't want to relate to that. They're not ready. That conversation is not ready yet. It's still too far. It's too far off.
The one thing
I was going to say, just not as far off as we once thought it was, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
not as far off.
We're getting way closer now.
But this is what's happening, because they even bring it up in Black Panther. What's happening is the gatekeepers are dying, because you're not hearing people in our in our age range. Yes, there's a little bit of toxic masculinity, a lot more, but we had the Kanyes, we had the what's it called, Andre 3000s, while they still had trap music. But now these little kids are growing up with skinny jeans. They grown up with, they rappers are talking about crying on songs. You see what I'm saying? So these kids now are ready for a woman. And I think, great example, 2024 AOC. I will almost bet everything I will end up possibly making. I will bet that if she does not become president, it was on some Bernie fuck shit, because we still had way too many gatekeepers that don't want to lose the power, because there's way too many people. What sucks right now is it's a beautiful thing that George Floyd is the reason why all these great things are people are, but you still have Breonna's killers who are walking free. But a lot of these movements are only moving because women are out there.
Yeah.
And I was out there. I saw it. It's women who are out there screaming, and you have men, because it's still sexualized, trying to protect these women. But these women, and that's why I fucking love it. And that's why I'm talking my shit all over Facebook about it, and the men are already mad because it is changing. And I'm not just saying that to kind of shut people, but it's because you have the media that is ran. That's why I love movies like Bombshell. You have the media that's being ran by all these older people, but just like in Black Panther, they're dying. And when they die, it's gonna be people like me who they're gonna be looking to. And I'm gonna be like, just like T'Challa, I'm gonna be like, Aira, what's good? Yeah, like I always do.
That's because these conversations now are starting, and
right.
It's good to have them. But that's, as I said, that's something, that movie was just a year ago. Like, you can still pull it up. Like, I mean, that stuff that, and these are things that women are having to, deal with on the daily, even as we see, even just going back to Black Panther, we talk about how that country is literally, their whole army is women. That's it. Like, it's all women.
No, agreed. That's the whole army.
The Black Panther is their glory. But women, and that kind of shows you also how it is within our world. Like, the women are your forefront. The women are here. They're fighting. They're speaking. They're doing your name. Even when she's like, my loyalty is my country. Like, she's sitting. Like, even when they're like
fighting. Even
we are. I mean, Black women are literally the cornerstone. Like, and I just think about like how some people were. I mean, it just goes back to. I think about Harriet Tubman all the time. Mm-hmm. How she talks about that there were some people that she could not take with her, that there were some people that were not ready for what when she goes on, and people, that's why sometimes our movements aren't good. Sometimes there aren't, because there's not a lot of unity. People are willing to have women sit out of the conversation, or honestly, not just women. I think about within the Black community. I think about how gay people are left out of the conversation, how trans people are left out of the conversation. Mm-hmm. How can we say that Black Lives Matter when you're not caring about your gay brothers and sisters, your trans brothers and sisters, things like that? And that's what completely shuts down these movements, is there's dissension within it. And there's people that you cannot take. We can go all these steps forward. We can go all steps forward with fighting. But if you're not willing to go back and get Killmonger, if you're not willing to go back and get it, it's going to dismantle every single thing.
But just like you said, though,
go back and get it.
No, but just like you said, some people aren't ready. But what's changing is these people are dying off. And now it's to the point where if you want anything, like people are losing their jobs just from being like, well, what if Black lives don't really matter? Lose your job. That's what's happening now. It's like, even to have an inkling of an idea that maybe it's not, you losing everything. So whether people are changing because they really believe it, or they're changing because they're trying to like save their own livelihood, change is happening. And that's what I fucking love. The people with power are losing it at great speeds. And that's why they're doing all these things to try to keep the division, because truth be told, we're trying to include gays. Who are the people who are keeping the gays out the conversation? Our parents and the people before them, because they had heritage.
If we're going to be real, it's not just older people.
No, but no, you're right. But that's
their teachings. It's the teachings within it.
But that's what I'm saying.
Say that it's just like the older people. There are a lot of people who are willing to leave that conversation open as well. We have to be honest.
No. But that's the point I'm making, saying that people are losing their.
I even think about, that's one of the things that I had to unlearn myself. Like, I come from a mixed family. My mom, I grew up with my white side of my family, not my Black, and my mom even taught me internalized racism. I was even racist against my own cousins who grew up in the hood more. I had things that I thought I had to say. I'm like, why don't they just read? Why don't they just act like this? And that's something that was taught into me, and I almost internalized. I had hatred towards myself for being Black, because my family was fairer than me. My cousins were white. I thought that this was different. That's not something that's being older. That's stuff that sometimes, I mean, you're a product of your environment. When I tell you that I hadn't seen a full cast of dark Black women like that, I'm 27 years old. My whole life, I'd never seen that. And I always felt like that I was less than. Those are things that not just old people are teaching, but society is constantly telling you over and over and over again.
But that's the point I'm making, is that people are losing their jobs. People are losing their jobs for believing this stuff. That's what I'm saying, that didn't happen before. So whether it's people are truly changing, or people are like, I don't want to lose my job, they have to change. People are losing their jobs for doing it. People who are like, well, I've seen it happen. Well, George Floyd had a record. Remember, he got caught selling drugs. fired. Like no compensation. People are losing entire livelihoods. So I do agree with you. There are a lot of problematic people on every age level, but now no one's accepting it. Period.
It's dying off, and it's beautiful to see that it is dying off. And I do agree with what you're saying, Trumaine. You're basically saying, yeah, people are. It's get down or lay down. We're pretty much
Now,
no
yes.
longer accepting. White people, especially older white people, some like to use the argument, well, hey man, freedom of speech. Let me tell you something. I am 33 years old and I have lived in this country my whole life, and I will tell you, nothing in this country is for free, especially speech. There is a consequence whenever you say anything. All right, there's a consequence when you say something that everyone agrees with, and there's a consequence when you say something that you believe that may be wrong. They're just consequences. So if you're willing to accept those, then that's fine. But yeah, you might lose your fucking job in the process of it. So, if you don't want to be behind what we're standing for, if you don't believe in what the Black Lives Matter movement is for, if you don't believe what the whole point of Black Panther was about, you can go ahead and have those thoughts, but understand that there will be horrible, horrible consequences, like you not being able to pay your mortgage next month. Yeah. So
I guess in my theory is I just really want people to truly not just see like that inside box of what that is, but I mean the whole thing, like that it is, if you're not willing to get that your whole people, all of our people on the same accord,
right?
We are going to dismantle it. I mean, we can't sit here and argue that Black Lives Matter, that this is our kingdom, if we're not willing to. I mean, we have to. I mean, I'm glad that now that people are willing to speak up, and as you're saying, that this is not people losing their jobs, people are, but we have to keep going with that.
Agreed.
There has to be more.
We have to speak up. You have to see what's uncomfortable, and you have to be willing to see things from other people's side of the story, from other people's sides, and things that don't interest you. Like one of the things I never really understood was the whole like trans movement. That's something I never did. That's something I never grew up around. But I watched Pose and I watched Disclosure on Netflix. And that was something that's not my world. But after watching my people like that, someone shutting down my people opened my eyes to something way bigger. Right. I'm going to speak. I want to speak up for the voices. I don't want anybody to be left behind out of that movement.
Agreed.
That can completely ruin everything we stand for. So if there's something that's uncomfortable within it, you have to educate yourself.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for the same thing. You know how I do. That's my whole job. Is like fighting for this. So I agree with you. What were you saying, Carter?
For anyone who isn't friends with Trumaine Bradley on Facebook, you're missing out. Because oh man, does he show up for everyone? And so does Aira Juliet. Like they make sure that you get the whole picture. And it's very important. Me, I'm just like posting just dick jokes and stupid memes and TikTok videos. But those are important too. They're going to change. They're going to change this country. It's important to see. But yeah, I think we really brought this thing to a nice full circle. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, enjoying what we are talking about and enjoy our work, please make sure to send us our money, because we are sad, lonely, very poor comedians, and we need it because we don't have real jobs. Please send money at Venmo at BL Comedy, or you can do it on the Cash App. That's $, Big Laugh Comedy. All donations will be divided between the talent and the production team. This has been, I think, one of my favorite episodes of Geek'd Out so far. I just love just sort of sitting back sometime and just letting the commentators commentate. It's just really great. And obviously, it's one of my favorite movies that we've talked about so far. I want to thank Aira Juliet and Trumaine Bradley so much for being on the show. I definitely will have you guys on again. I'm not even sure what we're going to be doing next week, but we'll be talking about some geeky shit. Guys, this has been Geek'd Out. We talked about Black Panther. I've been Carter Anderson, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back to our normal schedule next week.